doesn't work.
Mm.
Why do I copy the colors for the averages and the totals, but it wouldn't do the colors for the rest? That makes no sense.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Since I don't have a laptop, trying to access the spreadsheet on my iPad
Yeah.
is a pain in the side because it keeps crashing.
Yeah.
It's like that on iPhone as well. It's so bad. Why is it like that?
I think it's because there's so much. Your tablet can't quite run it properly. So if you keep going at it, it will stabilize. But it's just frustrating. Like I was
Yeah, you have to
sitting here watching. Huh?
You have to just keep going back and reloading it, closing, open it. That's so annoying.
So I was watching Good Morning Vietnam, and I think the neighbours could hear me shout out, "Go fuck yourself!" Tablet.
Yeah, it's a lot of the conditional formatting. I think that's the part that's broken.
Oh, for the colours.
Yeah, because at the moment, and it's probably because I copied it and pasted it over on my phone rather than on a computer. But the colors only carried over for the overall results, but nothing in the middle.
That's what I'm saying. It makes no sense. Why?
Rob said he's going to fix it. I messaged him privately the other day. I was like, there's a problem here. He's like, it's fine. Leave it with me.
I wonder what the issue is.
No comments.
I wonder what the issue is because obviously I'm used to Excel, so I don't really know what could be going on Google Sheets. I know it's meant to be similar, but obviously it's slightly different.
Oh shoot. Oh, by the way, I'm recording, and what made me just remember is that I muted myself to cough, but I forgot to mute myself on my laptop, so my cough will be on the recording anyway.
That's fine. We've had farts and burps and all sorts of things over the years, so it's fine.
Oops. I'm really happy I figured out to mute the laptop, because before I couldn't think of like, well, the recording's gonna hear me even when I'm moving around and stuff, and like people like my mom coming in my room. I'm like, this is not gonna work. I remember Ben, you one time were recording the meeting, and this is really cute though. Near the end, you could hear your mom come in and say good night. It was really cute.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Are you going to use that one?
Better than what my mum says sometimes. So she's going to bed while we're still on the call. She tells me to shut up.
Speaking of shutting up, look who's here. Look here.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't want to explain. Just like barbecue is tasty, but sometimes, yeah. Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll end it with, yeah, barbecue is tasty, but you know. But okay, so it's actually. Wait, let me adjust my mic here stuff. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were going to go for good morning, like Metal Jacket or something. I was fully expecting you to write Full Metal Good Morning. But I was like, okay, good morning, Metal Jacket works as well. Okay.
It's a better combination, I thought.
Metal Good Morning sounds awesome though.
Oh, Metal Good Morning, everyone. Yeah, okay, that works. Yeah.
Good morning, Film Club.
That actually works as well, actually, yes. Okay.
A big good morning now.
It's kind of night, but okay.
I mean, it's morning somewhere.
It is. It's not morning
here,
FYI.
Oh, some trivia. Just before we get started, how many? Due to the time zones, technically, how many hours have we said there are in a day?
Oh, this isn't full trivia.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, technically speaking, there's 24 hours in a day, but like, are you talking like time zones, as in like
Yes.
prime meridian, or do you mean like
with all the time zones and really weird time zones? How many hours in a day have we said there are according to time zones in a day?
Well, how many time zones did there end up being, do you mean?
No. Like, how many hours in a day?
What?
Well,
I thought
how
we
many
said
hours in a
it.
day?
I'm confused.
So it's 25 hours in a day according to the nonsense time zones that we have. It's a weird one.
I've forgotten which country it is, but it's sat on like the islands that are in a country. They're on like each side of the international date line. So one is 12 hours ahead. One was 12 hours before, and 24 hours on each side. So because they were never on the same time zone, they decided to, instead of meeting in the middle, they just like set an extra time zone for themselves. So they're now 25 hours ahead instead of 24 hours ahead. Or something. I don't remember.
It's really silly. Is that the island where you can technically look into tomorrow, right? Or something, right? So it goes, hey, look, I can see tomorrow. I would be in tomorrow if I was to travel this small amount of distance. I'll be in the next state. Or I could go back in time if I travel this
I think
100.
it's Chatham Islands.
But they stopped that. So now it's just plus 13. It's best if you made it more confusing when you was explaining it. It's best if you want to understand it more. There's a video from Hank Green recently on time zones. But there's just a lot of nonsense. But it's also partly political and all sorts of stuff that's happened through history. While we have such weird time zones, even though like Spain should be in the same time zone as us, but because at one point their leader was cozying up to Hitler, they changed to the same time zone as Germany, even though they're directly below us. It's just a whole lot of nonsense going on.
Yeah, I mean, because time zones aren't actually straight lines, right? They're like, they curve around a lot, and I've never understood that in myself. So it does explain a lot.
Yeah, as a whole. And then you got the island where it's only birds who live there. But they have their own time zone because they never changed it.
Look. If we have someone who puts tariffs on an island that only has penguins, that's just the way that is. Birds can have their own time zones. If birds can have tariffs, birds are going to rule the world eventually. It's fine.
Yeah, tariff those methods.
They already did before.
My favourite non-human island is Snake Island. Just thought I'd get that in there. It's close to Brazil, I think.
Oh my god.
Okay, I was about to ask where it is so I can stay very far away from that.
Yes,
that sounds terrifying.
And do they have chartered planes there? And will the planes be like with Samuel L. Jackson, and it'll be snakes on the plane coming back to New York?
Planes can't land on there. It's heavily there's heavy security there, but only specific people can have clearance because it's got all the world's most venomous snakes that they're using to help create medicines from their venom. I was watching a documentary about it. It was really interesting. And it's really weird how you got so many different species of the worst snakes you could ever come across, but they don't attack each other. I think they just wait for birds to land, or they wait for silly humans to attempt to go on there. And so, get the chance to watch a documentary about it, you should be able to find it on YouTube. It's really interesting if you're interested in that sort of thing.
I swear I watched something about that recently.
Yeah, one of the videos we watched mentioned it.
We watched way too many science videos that at this point, and then and I listen to a lot of science podcasts, and they just all start rolling into one. I don't think I've learned any. I'm no smarter for the amount of science content.
You have to listen differently,
but
more intense.
There's a lot. Thank you.
All you gotta know is poisons sometimes counteract each other. So as counterintuitive it is, if you have a snake bite, you might need another snake bite to cure the first one somehow.
Those makes the poison.
Yeah, but sorry, venomous. Yeah, but supposedly there is a science behind it because of the antibodies for each poison. They kind of fight each other, and the poisons fight each other, so it neutralizes the pH scale wise. So you go, oh, I'm okay now. So it's oh, okay.
Yeah, but you got to get the right ones.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, I think I prefer. I mean, Snake Island sounds way scarier than, I don't know, Rabbit Island in Japan. Rabbit Island is very, very peaceful comparatively. Then, I say that, but it's until you see rabbits fighting each other, then you realize, maybe not. Oh, your face, Corey. Rabbit kick another rabbit in the face. I'm just saying, it's like a martial arts movie. It was brutal, but it was awesome to watch, right?
And they could also make
because he just runs up and goes, and it's whoa.
What's really strange about me discovering that documentary was most of the stuff that I watch is either deep sea or deep space, because they're the two things that interest me the most. And then I end up finding about killer snakes.
Cool.
I mean, they're the two great unknowns that mankind have yet to discover: the sea and space. And technically the center of the Earth, but no one really cares that much about the center of the Earth anymore. We find out we dug.
People still care, and we still find out more about it.
It's something we should.
But it's once they dug far enough and went, there are no King Kongs or Godzillas down here. We don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. I was nah. That's really how it went, right?
I think most.
Go on.
Oh, sorry, Pat. You go.
I was just going to say, I'm still waiting for the day that they announce that the Megalodon hasn't actually perished and it's still alive deep down in the deep oceans.
Is that really big shark?
It's the shark that's the size of probably the UK.
Oh my gosh.
Not that big, but
that's hyperbole, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, but it's because if that's the case, mainly because Megalodon is one half of the story. What I want to see is the actual fucking squid or kraken that fucking fights Megalodons all the time, and it's because technically speaking, we actually have physical evidence that those probably do exist, because the only thing that's close to Megalodon is a blue whale, and sometimes they see blue whale corpses that have gone to ashore, and they have the big rings on them, and they're I'm pretty sure that's a squid ring or an octopus ring. I'm pretty sure that's how they got caught. So it's we've never actually, because the cameras can't go that deep without getting crushed by pressure or something, so you can't actually take a picture of a squid because it's just complete darkness. But technically speaking, they could exist, but we just couldn't see them because it's just too dark. I was oh fucking hell.
Technology hasn't come far enough yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get stuck on a completely different tangent, we should really start talking about the film.
Yeah.
Pat,
wait, so are we recorded yet?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Pat, why did you pick these two films about an interesting time?
So, me and Ben had a discussion a few months ago. Ben brought up the fact that World War II's anniversary is this year. And then I did some like researching on my phone. And I was like, "Oh, Ben, did you know Vietnam ended 50 years ago this year?" So I was like, "You know what? I have more films based around Vietnam that I want to pick." So I was like, "You know what? I'm just going to do my double bill. I'll speak to Rob about getting it moved around the May time, which is sort of when Vietnam ended in 1975." And I was like, I wanted to pick Full Metal Jacket for some time now. Like, it's probably my second favorite Vietnam War film, behind that one that Dan picked. I keep forgetting the name of because I'm old and can't remember anything.
Oh, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, that's the one. And yeah, like watching it again was great. Like, you got the first sort of hour, which is more the boot camp bit where everyone's getting trained up, and it's really tough. Like, some of it can be really rough to watch. And I was saying on the train earlier that there was one scene in it that made me laugh in that opening hour. It was when I forget the big guy's name, the one that
Vincent D'Onofrio.
no, I'm talking about the character.
Pile.
Oh, he was Private Pile. Yeah.
Kyle, yes.
Just the scene where he left his crate open, and the sergeant found a donut. And the fact that he was completely shameless. Everyone else had to give press ups, and he was standing there eating his donut. That bit really got me inside. But the upcoming scenes then was obviously his associates didn't sort of enjoy his way of not learning, and they ended up obviously beating him up at night, and that sort of switched something in his head. Like, he was getting abused by the sergeant the whole time. But I think when the people that he thought had his back started turning on him, it just switched his mind. And I think it just shows delicate balance your brain can be when you're in the military. Obviously, I'm not someone who's served any time. I've done like cadet stuff when I was younger, but obviously that's completely different. So I really enjoyed the psychological part of it that the first bit was. It was tough watching, but it was incredibly well done. And then obviously get into the war bit. That scene where they're stuck in the middle of no man's land and they end up losing like 3 soldiers. It felt a little bit like certain scenes in Saving Private Ryan as well, where there's a certain problem, like how do we get our guys out of harm's way? Can we save them? And this or that? Can we find who's firing the shots? And it was done so well. Like, forgetting his name again. The director, Ben, help me.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick has an insane ability to capture the moment. Like, you look at all of his great films, like he's never really stuck to one sort of genre type, but he's obviously such a visionary of his time, and he's obviously put in all the work to understand what he's doing. So I really appreciated specific parts of that. But the big reason for me picking this double bill was I could have easily gone war film, but I felt like that was too heavy. I could do it totally 100% easy. Like, I could have a marathon of war films and not bat an eye. But I also know that how tough they can be to watch. So I thought, Good Morning Vietnam was a more of a comedy. Well, some would think of it as a drama. I personally find it as a comedy because of Robin Williams, and I felt it was more of a lighter tone. Like, I don't think it really paid too much lip service to the actual problems that was going on, because it was much more about bringing in a comedian to do a radio show to keep the troops' morale up. This was before it kicked off properly. And I feel like Robin Williams, I think we all felt the same way when he died. It was like, when he died, some good things about the world died with him. And he just had that incredible ability to be hilarious without trying. And a lot of my favourite parts of this film was him obviously on the radio. Like, it was the one scene I was talking about earlier that made me laugh so much that I had to pause it. It was about 40 minutes in, and it was he was having a go at by his lieutenant, and he keeps saying yes sir to him. So that really, obviously, it always annoyed him. And he was like, what does 3 up stripes and 3 down stripes mean? It was like, an end of an inning. And for someone that's into baseball, that was hilarious. Like, if I had issues holding stuff in, I probably would have gone in my pants. It was that funny. Like, I hadn't seen this film in a long time. Like, I was quite young, so I don't remember laughing that hard at it as I did now. But man, it was so simple, and some people will be like, oh, it's not that funny. But I think when you're sort of clued into what it is, what the subject is, I think it's so funny. But the whole film was like that. It's not designed as a specific comedy, but it had so much comedy to it. And I really liked all the side actors in it. Like, I thought Forrest Whitaker was fantastic in it as well. But I felt like, as a double bill, I felt like there's a lot linking them together, but obviously giving a different perspective of the situation, and one being harder hitting, one being a lot lighter. And I think that's all for me for now.
It was like, we watched Good Morning Vietnam first. Just really reminded me of just how pointless that war was.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And how much so many things that happened in that war pisses me off. Like, looking back on it. Looking back on it, obviously we weren't alive. But more so, like, even things like, we was watching some videos afterwards to get some more context.
Yeah.
And how, like, if Nixon didn't get involved in stop the peace talks, basically, they could have had peace much earlier when LBJ was still president. But they couldn't prove it in court, yet they had like artificial proof that he convinced the president of South Vietnam at the time to pull out and wait for him to become president before continuing peace talks. But then it was too late. And so he just ended up carrying on the war. And it's so annoying, like, seeing the secret documents after so long and seeing how 70% of the main reason for continuing the war was to not have the humiliation of defeat, because they knew it was a war they couldn't win.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know there's so much to it, and obviously we only got so much time tonight, and I'm sleepy. But it was nice to see Good Morning Vietnam. Obviously made me sad with Robin Williams not being around. But I appreciated that kind of story.
Yeah.
In amongst all of that. Though obviously I do appreciate what Kubrick did and was doing, and the points he was making by making that film. I did not enjoy it at all.
Which one? The Full Metal
Full
Jacket?
Metal Jacket.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Full Metal Jacket. Not surprisingly, it's hard all the way through, but even when it's past the first act, it's hard for different reasons, because you know the context behind all of the things. You've seen what's just happened, and it's just set you up to know that, okay, a lot of these folks don't really want to be here. They were kind of tricked to being in, or they're just trying to keep sane, alongside some of the people who actually are more psychos, and some of the people who've been turned more that way. And it's just, none of them should be there. None of them are, very few of them were really trained properly. Like, there was no real tactics to almost anything. Obviously, that's the point he showed, that scene with 8-Ball and Dr. J or whatnot, like, situated the point of like how, compared to North Vietnam, only around maybe 15% of the strikes from the Americans had any tactics at all.
Yeah.
Compared to the North Vietnam, who majority of their strikes had tactics. And it's such a frustrating, hot mess of, oh man, sorry. It's just that, like, the more you know about the war, the more the rest of the film pisses you off.
Well,
for all the stuff going on behind.
That war would have been avoidable if it wasn't for the Cold War, because this was basically a central piece to the Cold War between the United States and Russia, or the Soviet Union as they were at the time. And basically it was all controlled from their sides, and then the Vietnamese people were basically being sacrificed for their own little standoff.
Yeah, because they were worried that, oh well, if one country falls completely to the communists, then all the rest of Southeast Asia will, like you were probably going to say.
Yep. Yeah, I was about to say, it goes like, I could just imagine Nixon being like, if they're commies, they can make other commies. And it's just like, oh, it's me, Nixon. It was like, yeah, Nixon didn't help at all for those things, you know. But yeah. But I like to, as introduction back to the films now, I like to imagine, Pat, we chose this film and you called Good Morning Vietnam like a bit more comedic. I understood what you went for. Admittedly, as I think I said on the last chat, I was fully expecting you to do the greatest beer run ever when you said comedy. So, but it's like, okay, it's not funny as that, but this, I like to compare it to this, like this, because Full Metal Jacket is the perspective of the soldier in Vietnam, and I like to imagine that Good Morning Vietnam is actually about like an officer who's not quite into the field. It's a very because like being like a military officer and like boots on the ground is completely different like situation for anything. Even like in like any like sort of show that has like there's a different sort of like hierarchy for people. Like even in like cop shows, you have people who are like in the office, and you have like detectives, but then you have like boots on the ground. And like it's very different perspectives. I like to see how their perspective of each, how they go through each as like the people there, because like even in Good Morning Vietnam, Robin Williams' character he's technically an airman, right? Like a pilot.
Yeah.
Is what I would like to say. Okay, yeah. So because he's technically a pilot, he's an officer. He would never actually see, actual troops or actual like gunfighting. But what we have like with I was gonna say cowboy. That's not right. He's with Joker, who is actually on the ground as the boots as a Marine. You see the very distinctive personalities of the film. With Full Metal Jacket, I believe the best way to describe it as an opening statement is you see like the sort of like, you see the early grimness of just boot camp training, but you see the more like grimness of like dehumanization of like people in the actual war states and whatever they do actually as on the field.
Yeah.
Good Morning Vietnam. It's never as grim as some parts of it is. It's never as grim as is. So it's kind of the word I'm looking for. I don't know if this is the right word to use for it, but I feel like it's the romanticized version of like the Vietnamese War. Kind of like, oh yeah, it's like, oh poor bleeding soldiers. Look how much have to make comedy to make sure that they have morale to go into the field and all that stuff. So like, it's a different sort of like perspective. Like, it's the same thing. I feel like it's literally the same. It's the same story, just told by an officer and a soldier, and it's like, yeah, it's interesting to see the way it is, because after a while, we who know the history know that either way. The story of it is going to be fucked either way. Like, heck, when we went to go back in our film club rounds, what we did when I picked Forrest Gump, and we were talking about the Vietnamese War again, it would be like, it wasn't pretty at all. It's just like very grim as the Vietnamese War was. But it's an interesting, as a film choices. Sorry, let's go back to on point. It's very interesting to see how they've done it as someone on the ground or something. And I think it's an interesting choice that you did it as like these two double bills. This as a double bill, sorry. And I'm not sure. I guess Pat, I should ask you, when you say you want to do war films, are you going to do like Vietnamese war films, or are you going to like mix it up? Are you going to go like, are you going?
When I do other war films, it's not all going to be Vietnam. Like, there's a lot of good stories from other wars that are told. Like, I've got a lot of World War I, World War II stuff, and sometimes it's not even like big wars. Like, but yeah, like it's not all going to be the same sort of stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Because
there is more Vietnam stuff that I wouldn't mind looking at, but yeah, I'm not going to do the same sort of stuff because I feel like that'll weigh down too much.
Like, I wouldn't worry about it too much. You gotta pick some. When we pick films, we pick like very like comedic films, dramatic films, and stuff. It's like eventually. I'm guessing you'll pick a Bridge Too Far eventually, but like I don't know when you do it, but you probably or like you will see other things. I'm more interested if you go pick 1917 or was it 1917? The one that's like a continuous shot movie. I feel like you would really.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Sam Mendes.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that would be on your list, but like, yeah. But as an opening take for this film, I feel like it's interesting to see how they're done through different perspectives, and I feel that gives each of these films their characteristics. So I feel like it's a very interesting choice that you did it this way. It was a very interesting choice to see how you picked them and how they played out each individually.
Yeah.
I guess I could start with my opening statement. So going into this, like, to be honest, I haven't done like my own research and learning about the Vietnam War. I was just going on based on like things I've heard from other movies and people talking about it. But I did have a general opinion and bias about American military and just what they've done and continue to do, I guess. So, and I did know, I was aware that it was a war that went on for way too long. And personally, I am more in general just like on a pacifist side, to be honest. So like seeing things elevate to the point of just like killing each other is just hard enough as it is. And especially so when I see how young like soldiers can be. And then it gets even worse, you know, depending on which part of the world you're seeing. Even we see like even young children being right in there. So this stuff was pretty heavy for me. I'm glad I started with Full Metal Jacket because I did find that Good Morning Vietnam was on the lighter side. But it was still, both of them still obviously like pretty heavy hitting subject matter. And I hadn't seen either yet before this. So I do like my experience watching Full Metal Jacket was really like I agree, it was very well done and very impactful. Um I felt like it got a little repetitive in the beginning, but I feel like maybe that's part of what made it a drag for me. It's because it was just awful. That sergeant was awful. Seeing the like emotional and physical abuse they were going through, and seeing that poor one guy, Pyle, just like not like slowly being ground down. There was some uplifting parts, you know, with Joker kind of um partnering with him, not by choice, like his sergeant had him to. Um, but yeah, the character of Joker was pretty interesting. Like I could see that he had some like more like compassion and empathy than some of the others. Um, but that's the soap and the towel scene that was just awful. Um, and what was really really dark was when literally the sergeant was talking about like in a way of inspiration for the what are they called before they're in training? They're in combat training. What are they called when they're in training?
Training camp.
You mean like what the sergeant called them? Like he was like he calls them maggots or dirt or what do you mean?
Yeah, I meant the proper
Private.
term, but like yeah, they're not
I
like
think
they're not
private
graduated yet.
or grunts.
Oh yeah. I think. Oh, I don't. Oh, there is a technical term for it. I don't know if it's like
Trainee.
the same. It was like I think it's called like a petty officer. I'm not sure if it's like the correct word for it. It could be. It could be a trainee. To be honest, I don't.
Okay,
I mean,
is it like cadet?
oh, that could be.
oh, it might be cadet, right? Yeah, come.
Okay, so,
That might be off.
yeah, so like I'll just say trainee for now. But yeah, there's a scene where the sergeant was talking about this mass murderer who shot a bunch of people from a tower, and then the guy who
Mm.
assassinated JFK, and he was like, "Do
Yeah.
you know where they were trained and learn how to shoot?" The Marines. And like, I got the impression that he was using these horrible acts as inspiration for like, wow, you could shoot as well as these criminals.
Yeah.
I mean, he was. Admittedly, that was literally the point. Is like, look at these crazy ass murderers. Look how well they shot. Can you shoot as good as these crazy ass murderers? Can you? That's what we want you to do in the Marines. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a
And
bit.
yeah, exactly. And it brought into mind as well, like, I'm going to be touching on some, like, pretty airing out, like, my personal opinions, but, like Americans and gun laws in general, and just, like, they're, and so, like, and all this to say, like, that's some kind of, like, foreshadowing, like, when you see what happens eventually to Pyle and what he ends up doing, it's just, like, no surprise that, these people, if they end up surviving training and surviving a war, then they go back into society, and you get to see how it all fits together. It's just really dark and sad, and makes me wish for a world without any of that. But yeah,
Mm.
I thought, yeah, the pretty really impactful stuff. So yeah, we off the the first part of the movie, pretty really intense. Um, and then yeah, it moves along. I was appreciative of the story moving on from that. And but still, it's not like you don't get much relief, right? You see where it all culminates, and but what I really did appreciate, like, although like I did see that like this was shining, like Stanley Kubrick's like point of view, in my opinion, was shining like a critical eye, like a really raw, gritty, uncensored view of like the soldiers, and how they thought of the Vietnamese and how they treated them and thought of it was just so like, but I still felt like it was still leaving us room to like come to our own conclusions and our own opinions of these people, even though he was showing an unflattering light, but it's a light that I think is kind of like fair and true to and aligns with my view of what that war was. And that's where I appreciated Full Metal Jacket more than Good Morning Vietnam, and I'll get into that one later. Um, but yeah, even though it was really hard to watch, I felt like the perspective in Full Metal Jacket was more in line with how I view the war, and how like I liked how it like honored um the mistreatment that the Vietnamese people went through, like the civilians. Like, it's just awful. Like, there's no call for that. So, uh, yeah, right. Okay, so I guess I can move on to Good Morning Vietnam, where I was relieved I had some lightness to kind of partially recover from Full Metal Jacket. I'll start with a good. Robin Williams, obviously, like, incredibly talented, just nonstop. He's just like bursting with life, and sad to say, not like, he was. And just, yeah, what do you call, like, a live wire, just like really full of something. And I knew, like, knowing how he is as a real person kind of like makes me fully appreciate him more and what he does. This being in from 1987, obviously some humor was a bit dated. But some of it, I don't know if this is a bit of an admission, like, even though I felt like some of the humor was outdated, like, the impressions he did of the fashion designer who was talking about how they were dressing, how their uniforms were, like, I couldn't help but like laugh at that, because he just does such a good job. He really transforms himself into these different people and different characters. So I was laughing out loud multiple times. during this, and I mostly appreciated the very beginning because as I got to know the character of Adrian and as I saw like the story play out, I kind of started to like lose my appreciation for the overall perspective that we're having of like an American in Vietnam because I think where things started to go off the rails for me first was his pursuit of that Vietnamese woman, Trin.
You know,
Trin. Yeah, so like first off the bat, and this is where things dated come into play, and so I tried not to score it too harshly based on these things, but like the gung ho persistent pursuit of her when she was trying to say no thank you.
Yeah.
And
Oh, don't forget, Corey, the fact that he's pursuing her, and he just sees the first attractive woman he sees when he arrives there, and he loses her.
to other people.
Yeah, and another girl turns up, and he focuses on her. So it's just like he just wants this idea of this woman, and he doesn't care. And so it's kind of like this mildly racist undertone of that they all look alike, and they all are kind of like, yeah, that's good enough for me, kind of thing. So at first you kind of get this ickiness to him, but obviously he proves himself as the film goes on as being a bit more. Yeah, he has a heart.
yeah, I mean, I will say this, like I don't really think I never really get on board with his pursuit of her, and like I always kept the opinion that he was kind of like glommed onto her for her looks, like that's how he picked her out, and I in the movie I never really saw them like get to know each other, so I never really felt any like connection to them as a possible couple, and so I think that part of the story really fell flat for me. And it comes up in the end, like she's crying when he's leaving. I'm just like, I'm not really feeling. I don't think I'm feeling what I'm supposed to be feeling regarding them as a couple. Um, I did appreciate his connection with um the civilians when he starts teaching the English classes. I do feel like he really was like a step above like the average American there. And that just like wanting to just like connect with these people on a one-on-one base, like on an equal level, kind of, but not totally entirely. Like so where I as well kind of lost my connection um is when I realize it's when he learns that um what's the brother's name?
One.
Tuan?
Yeah, it's Chuan. Yeah, because his sister's name is Trin.
Trin, yeah. Okay, Tuan.
Yeah, so Trin, so Tuan. I don't know if it's like Tuan, so it might be like.
yeah, that's how it's spelled.
Yeah.
But is it pronounced twin?
No, I swear to God, there's an accent like there's like a little like click on the A somewhere, so it might be Tuan or I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember.
The captions don't have any accent, so but I don't know if the captions.
Yeah, but I feel like they should, to be honest. It's like I was watching it. Wait, did you guys watch it on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like this because like I'm pretty sure Saigon even has an accent on it, and I'm pretty sure they don't have the word in there. But it's like it's fine. It's
not really fine. That's come on, but like
okay,
so
but like
I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'll just say Tuan for now. And
yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll agree with that.
Yeah, well, that might be wrong. So and this came up. It really when he figures out that Tuan is part of like the behind the bombings, and when he first confronts him about it, Adrian feels really hard done by and betrayed, and for me it's coming from like it sounds like it's coming from a place of just like self-righteousness, like how could you, but I really more felt for Tuan, and he's doing what he feels is fair and right for his country, and he lists all these people that have died his neighbor, his brother. And still, like, Adrian is like, we're trying to help you. And it's just like knowing all about the context of what's going on there and why the Americans are there and, you know, quote unquote helping. I'm like, and this was from 87. So the war ended 75, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
12 years later, and we're still seeing that. It's interesting to see what kind of perspective we're seeing, the bias that we're seeing. Like in 87, we're seeing this perspective of like the Americans were the big heroes coming in to try to save the poor Vietnamese, when really it was much more complicated than that. And in my opinion, they were messing with stuff that was for their own gain, you know, their own big worry about big bad communism. So
put it this way. Just going to say, put it this way: if people don't understand who was in the right or who was in the wrong, this was a war that Britain didn't want to touch.
Yeah, because even
everything.
Yeah, LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, at first kept pushing it off with the contingency that we'll get involved if the Britons get involved. In the UK, we're just like, nah. So he didn't for longer and longer. Like each president, I say each president, except Nixon, Lyndon B. Johnson and Kennedy, the only reasons they got more and more involved was because their advisors and military folks kept pressuring them to. They kept being like, does not make sense for us to really get heavily involved. We can assist a little bit, but this is not going to end well. Like we can't. This is not a good idea.
No. I mean, this is part of why Kennedy got assassinated. So I know it's more to do with Cuba, but like it's all that sort of political spectrum from the other side. He did a lot of questionable things, as we'd seen from another one of my old picks. But the fact that he wasn't too keen on providing more firepower to a war that should never have happened, got him killed, because it was a game of politicians wanting to one up each other, but so many young people were out there fighting their battle for them, which is what's really sad about it all.
They're great picks. I'll do my opening statement real quick for both of them. Like, they're very, very, very terrific movies. I think Full Metal Jacket, especially, that's the one I started with first. I've seen before, is the great Stanley Kubrick doing a tremendous job just showing the war as it really is, and really as it really was, I should say. Because it is a film of two halves, like we've mentioned. Like, the first half is all about the recruitment and the training, on all the horribleness that comes with that, which many people weren't really aware of. But when they made this film, was that how intense and how strict it was to be a member of the Marines and the Army, at least in the United States, and how difficult it was to kind of be so disciplined, to be that kind of person. You had to be a certain person, not only to pass all the physical exams, but stay with the program to the bitter end and still be like sane at the end of that. And even when the war starts, you've just gone past the really whole bit of training, and then you have to join the war itself. So it was actually insane what those poor men had to go through. So yeah, Full Metal Jacket does a tremendous job of just displaying how horrible it was from both sides of the ocean, of what those poor soldiers had to do and what they had to put up with, and they had to be able to, survive, basically. And how and not only is it such a toll physically, but it's mentally as well. And I think people didn't realize that. And I think Pyle was a perfect example of like he wasn't mentally prepared of how messed up the training regime would be, and he just could not take it because of he was being abused and bullied and tortured and everything you can think of just because he was a little bit overweight. He still passed the physical, so he still managed to get in, but it's still, they were so nasty, and how the mind games of like the sergeant, I forget his name, the drill sergeant, how he had to just kind of like made the rest of the brigade hate him just for being not good enough, and instead of punishing him, he punished them, and that's just horrible how he treated it. And so in some ways you can understand how he would snap. He would eventually snap, but the fact is like him doing something so messed up, was just killing him and shooting himself. That was, it's a tough thing to see, but it's an important thing to watch as a viewer. And Matthew Modine's character, the Joker, him experiencing that and still being like, look, I'm still going to go into the battle, I'm still going to fight the war. That was that wasn't even the worst thing he saw during the war. And obviously this film is fictitious and everything. It still was like, this is probably what happened to all these poor men that had to fight, and what they had to endure and what they had to face, and the fact that there were so many people that were like so like indoctrinated by propaganda, and just the whole regime of this clockwork machine, just getting soldiers to just be not even mindless drones. That wasn't the point. Like they mentioned it in the film, they had to be killers, and that was the really fucked up thing about it. They just had to be okay with killing anything and anyone. And what I forgot his name was, the guy in the helicopter, but just taken so much glee in killing civilians and women and children. That was just so horrible. And just that some of them just couldn't take it. And that wisely, the photographer guy just was like puking his guts out at the thought of it. But even by the end of the film, he kind of becomes a bit like him in a way, because he just is like, we're fighting for our country. We're doing this for America. We're doing this to help freedom, and all these lies that they've been fed to kind of keep this war machine going. And we all said before, it's just like, it's such a pointless war, but all wars are pointless, but this was probably the most pointless wars of them all, because of how kind of like how like the lives are so kind of what was the word? Just what's the word? I can't remember. They're just fodder. Maybe that's probably the best way to say it. They're just cannon fodder. They just had to be there to kind of like show America's force and power in that point in time. They had to keep it going, and that leads well into Good Morning Vietnam, because that was kind of the biggest lie in that film, was that he wasn't allowed to say the news as it was coming through. He was always having to have it censored by those two guys, and he couldn't say the truth. He couldn't actually tell the troops, we're losing this battle, we're doing this and that, this is what's happening, this is why it's getting worse. But he wasn't allowed to say, we can't say this is bad, we can't get anyone getting lose heart in this war, because then that's it, it's over. Then there won't be more soldiers, there won't be anyone to fight the battle anymore. And so Good Morning Vietnam is a great alternative and counterpoint, but it's also eerily similar in a lot of ways, because of how it deals with how the kind of civilians would view the war as it was going on. And the people in Vietnam, sure, they were living in the cities and stuff, but it was still so close to home, as we saw at the end of the film. It was like, people were getting blown up because of the ideals, and the kind of this thing they were fighting for was just so pointless and frivolous and everything. And obviously, Robin Williams was brought in to just kind of bring a bit more joy and a bit of frivolity to what was happening. But it was just a smokescreen. It was just, this is just a distraction for what was really going on. And you can see in his character, Adrian's character, just being so kind of like, what am I doing here? It's just awful. I'm not really making a difference. But he kind of was, in a way, that he was giving some sort of point and purpose for the soldiers that were fighting. But in his heart, he knew that it was kind of like, what am I doing to just encourage them to face their death and kill so many innocents? So, I think even though it is a comedy, it really did pack a punch when you saw the restaurant, the bar restaurant, get blown up at the final act of the film, and you found out who it was that did it, which was an eerie parallel to kind of the Full Metal Jacket, with the lone sniper being just a local. That was just, it's very impactful and powerful moment, where it's just like, this is what it leads to normal people to do these horrible atrocities. And it's just like, I hope no one ever goes through that, because it's just not worth it. But it's great movies. Tough to watch both back to back, but I'm glad I watched them in 2 days because of But like Pat says, it's just Robin Williams is a joy, and I think like if anyone else was in that film, it probably wouldn't have been anywhere near as good. I think his kind of like his improvisation and his sense of humor was what leveled it up to the next degree, I think, because he just, like he did with Aladdin and all the other films he was in, when he literally lets loose his comedic charms. You just can't help but laugh and giggle and smile when he's just letting out all sorts of silly like jokes that it's just the crazy thing is him making up most of it up on the fly. It is true improv, and they kind of put that in, so it's just amazing. Not every single joke works, but the one they do, they just I just can't help but just being overwhelmed with like, this is he was a gift to the world, and
He was.
it's important that he made films like this because they will be with us forever. And I'm so glad he managed to do as many as he did.
An interesting tidbit from what I understand from Good Morning Vietnam is this is based off like it's semi-realizing it's based off like there was actually a person who actually went to Vietnam to actually do this thing. So when they interviewed him about how they felt about Robin Williams doing it, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's literally 90% Robin Williams and like 10% me, but like generally speaking, I'm happy with that. It was like a fully accurate like biography of like my journey during my time there. But it was like I actually prefer. He said he preferred it this way. It gave his character a bit more kind-heartedness, I think is the way to describe it. I was like, oh, you know, it's not just about kind of gave him a bit more Robin Williams soul, which is like, that's the best way you could describe it. Yeah. So, here's we do this. Zaj now.
I'll do mine. So we watched Good Morning Vietnam first, and I feel like we should have watched it the other way around. I really like what you said, Corey, about how Good Morning Vietnam kind of almost feels like an idealized version of it, and then Full Metal Jacket is like, this is the reality of what these guys went through. But yeah, on Good Morning Vietnam, I found it a really interesting film to watch, and I think Robin Williams really made it what it was. Someone else said if he wasn't in it, it wouldn't have been as good, and if it wasn't him in the role, I probably wouldn't have been able to enjoy the film at all, because right off the bat, the way he is so thirsty the second he gets off that plane is just like immediately irritating and immediately off-putting. And I kind of didn't like the character until he starts that bar fight to stand up for Tuan, because when the other soldiers are like, well, they mainly pick on them in that moment because he stole their girls. But yeah, I didn't like him really till that point. And I liked how sometimes you saw the co-stars laughing, and it seems like they're really genuine reactions, and that made it kind of wholesome to watch. And the few moments that reminds you, this is what's going on, this is why they're there. The contrast of that I found to be, it was like just a massive contrast, to the point where I expected things to get so much worse than they did, because I was like, this film's going to break my heart, isn't it? And then there's that moment when they meet all the troops when they're stuck in traffic, I think. And I was thinking that the next we'd hear about those guys was that all of them are dead or something. Like, I was really expecting the film to really, really break my heart in that way, and it didn't.
To be honest, most of them probably did.
I mean, they probably did, but that's not...
They were like the first division.
Yeah, but that's kind of like... Yeah, it's not the point, but it did break my heart when he went to the village and Tuan's just walking around. It's like, yeah, that person, they lost X, Y, and Z, and this person's lost X, Y, and Z, and it's just... The pointlessness of it is just so poignant in that moment. It's just like, what is the purpose of this? Why are they here? Why are they doing this? It was a hard film to watch in the sense of the kind of American exceptionalism with the whole, we're here to help them, which is just like irritating. It's like, no, you're here because you're scared of communism. And also the way that they kept saying, like, it was all of the, and I think someone said, like, they're both 80s films, so some of the humor and some of the language maybe wouldn't be, maybe it's of its time, but I think maybe some of the language and like all the racist slurs that I've not heard in forever, because people don't talk like that anymore. I think that's probably in there quite as much because that's how people spoke to each other in the era that it's based on how they talked about each other. Onto Full Metal Jacket, I really, the first part was so moving and so, it made me so angry. I don't think there's been a character in a film in such a long time that I have just wanted to like give a hug. Like, he just needs someone to talk to him kindly and be a bit patient with him and be nice to him. And it's really heartbreaking. And I didn't feel like I could emotionally engage with the rest of the film. And I think I was just irritated, and I think it's one of those films that I think it really demonstrates something about the way that we as non-Americans see Americans, I guess you're American, but he's asleep, it's fine. The myth making about Americans, like what those boys went through, and then where they went and what they did to, I know that obviously the Vietnam War was a really unpopular war, but the way that Americans like deify their military and act as if like their military is just this super special and this is what makes us important, and no, without us you'd be speaking German and we're defenders of the free world and all of this, and it's like you're interfering either for clout or for selfish reasons, cloaking it as this altruism, and then your people believe it. And it's like, of course they do. Of course you have to tell yourself, we're here to help them and they don't like us. What's wrong with them? Because otherwise then you have to face the reality of, we've gone into some other people's land and we're bombing their country. We've got all these these men who, if they had stayed at home, maybe they would have done some atrocities at home. Maybe they would have shut up a school or, killed their partner or, been serial killers or whatever. But now they've gone into another country, done some horrors, and then they're either going to come home, they're either going to die, or they're going to come home, be either disabled and or have PTSD. And then it's just perpetuates problems. It's like, imagine what those people's kids and families have to grow up with after that's what their dads and granddads, etc., have endured. And it's just like, of course America has to tell this story that we're so special and all the interfering they did in the 20th century was worth it, and the world should be thanking them for it. Because otherwise it's like, how do you look yourself in the mirror every day knowing that, like, this is what you've been complicit in some way, shape or form. Sorry, none of that is about the film, but I couldn't, like, after they graduate from the island, I'm just like, that's all I'm getting. And I just feel sad and angry. And I couldn't emotionally engage with the film after that. I almost feel like I don't really remember what happened, even though I watched it this afternoon, just because I was like, I'm irritated.
Yeah, I get your point.
I feel really sad and angry.
Because I think that's kind of the intention that Stanley Kubrick was trying to get, is that how fucked up and how pointless this war was and how messed up America's idealism of the war was, because it's kind of like, yeah, we shouldn't be fighting this war, but we're going to do it because we want to make ourselves look like we're America. We're the biggest and best country in the world. We can come in any country, literally wipe the floor with whatever it was, and just come back with all guns blazing and just, we won, done, great. And on to the next thing. It's like, freedom, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole vibe. And that's kind of like the whole thing with like the drill sergeant is just being so nasty and horrible to them, is that's how they felt, that to make these kind of people that they want to fight the war, they have to be, there's no nurturing, there's no niceness or niceties or anything like anything like that, what you'd expect. So they kind of will have to go the other way. It was like, we have to kind of make these guys our puppets in a sense, because if the illusion is broken, which we saw in Good Morning Vietnam with the news bulletin, if that bulletin comes through, the illusion is broken, and everyone suddenly doubts what their point is in this war. And they're kind of like, oh, wait, actually, this isn't doing any good. We're making things worse. Why is that? What's causing it? Oh, the people in charge are telling us to do and fight all these battles, and it's not helping anything. It's making things worse. What's going on? And this war's not ending anytime soon. Yeah. Oh, maybe we shouldn't be fighting this war. And that's what they don't want to happen. It's so messed up.
It's really, no, totally. Yeah, one of the videos we watched to kind of, because we were watching it and we were like, I think we both need more context on what was going on, because vaguely studying this in GCSE history, but that was, 16 years ago, more than 16 years ago. And I had recently been listening to a podcast that was about what was going on in Cambodia with Khmer Rouge, but I was like, I kind of don't understand how this all fits together. So we watched one of these videos and they were like, this is your parents' generation's Afghanistan. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now you've said it, that just solidifies it even more. Like, when you hear about like some of the training tactics used on the troops that were going into Afghanistan, it's the same thing that was going on with the drill sergeants that we witnessed in Full Metal Jacket, when it's like you're dehumanizing your soldiers to make it easy for them to dehumanize their enemy. And everybody thinks they're fighting for freedom and liberty. And it's like, no, you're fighting because you're scared of communism, you're scared of domino theory, or because you want to look big on the world stage and maybe get some oil while you're at it. And we all knew that. And all of us having lived through the early 2000s, I guess it must have felt the same way. Like there was so many protests against the Vietnam War in America, and I guess it must have felt the exact same way as it did as a kid, where it's like, I don't think, at least my parents and like the people that we were around a lot, like my aunties and uncles and stuff, I don't think anybody was convinced by what we were being told about why the UK got involved in those wars, like post 9/11. And I guess it's just a kind of similar thing where it doesn't, I guess it kind of makes you feel a bit like helpless, because you only need a handful of people to believe in to believe in the propaganda, and then you have an endless supply of young people whose lives can then be destroyed. And like in Full Metal Jacket, and someone's already mentioned it, about when they're about to do the shooting training, and the drill sergeant telling this story about the University of Texas, and it's like, you guys like really like, do you want better for your country? Because you seem to think that like these things that make things worse for you, for everybody, are somehow helping. Like, why is that a motivational speech? How does that make any sense? It was a really good pick though, Pat, I've got to say, because I think it's really prompted me to find out about something I don't know about. And it kind of helps understand and contextualize some of the things that happen in our generation, because I like in the years post 9/11, it really felt like, wow, we've never lived through this sort of thing before. It's really scary, and now they've got to go up. And well, in reality, this is just the way that history is cyclical. It just goes around and around and around. We've been here before with propaganda, and just takes a handful of people to believe the propaganda, and then dumb wars get fought, and lives are needlessly lost, and locals are really disrespected. It made me think of, I don't know if anyone's seen Mickey 17, when his girlfriend yells, "We're the aliens, we're the ones who came to their planet," and I was just like,
of course. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to say that at some point, when I can't remember which film it was, when one of them were like, inside of every I think they used the slur for Vietnamese people, there's an American wanting to get out, and it's like, no, you've gone into their land. Like, what's wrong
that made me cringe.
Oh my gosh.
That scene in Good Morning Vietnam did really make me cringe. Obviously, it was the point. The fact that they were in that bar, and obviously it's served by the Vietnamese man, the kind of George Takei kind of the guy. It's very quirky, very silly, over the top, with a really weird dress sense. And he had all the women coming in to kind of like get work from all the soldiers. And then the young boy comes in, and they notice him sitting on their table, and they say, "We aren't allowed any of those people here." And it's like, you're in Vietnam. You're in a restaurant that's owned by a Vietnamese man, and yet you can't have Vietnamese guys in this place? That just blew my mind. And it's just like, that's how fucked up it was. It's like,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, who's making these decisions?
Yeah.
So that was the first point in that film where I was like, yeah, this is something really. This film's going to have a bit more to say than you might think, because it's a comedy, but it has a very important kind of voice and poignancy to it all.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely more than you expect it to be, which almost seems kind of silly, because it's a movie about a war that's set where the combat is.
Yeah.
You think it's going to be really silly because you hear Robin Williams being Robin Williams at his best. And then it's like, nope, we have way more to add to the conversation.
Yeah, I feel that the time and place and setting kind of dictates what kind of film it's going to be. Because I don't know if you guys have seen the musical Miss Saigon. Similar themes to it because it's set during the Vietnamese War, about this woman who falls in love with an American soldier kind of thing. It has all these ideas. You think it's just going to be a silly musical, but it's got all this deep poignancy to it and very, very, very tragic undertones all the way through. So yeah, very this point in history is very dark and tragic. It is very sad. And you think both World War One and World War Two, at the very least, would make everyone realise why going into a war like that would be so pointless. But no, America was like, no, we're going to do it again.
That's the thing. Like, this was sort of a spillover from World War Two. So, but early part of the war, you had Russia, who were somewhat staying neutral, but I think were more siding with the Nazi war machine. But then they obviously realised that, hold on, if we switch sides, we've got a better chance of actually winning. They'll get annoyed and come to attack us, and that's literally how that war was won. But obviously, America have seen or judged what the Soviets were doing at the time, and obviously, both sides were always against each other. I mean, I'll get to the next part of it in a minute. But like, even after World War II ended, there was still hostility between the two, and the Cold War started in 1947 and didn't end until 1989, which is insane. You had the whole Vietnam thing in the middle. Once that was over, it was all a game of like intelligence against each other. Like, most of the world were on the edge of their seats, nervous about what's going to happen next. Which country's going to make the move? It technically ended in 1989, but it's never really ended. Like, it's currently still going on now with the war in Ukraine, with Russia attacking Ukraine. Up until when Trump took power again, America were pushing back somewhat against the Russians. So it's still an ongoing problem, and it's like, you've got grown men in an office. Like, you should be better than this. Like, we've all got different cultures, we've all got things we want for our own country, but you're playing with people's lives. Like, it's not just civilians, but like, I have a lot of sympathy for soldiers. I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like the military. Like, obviously, Tory is pacifist, like you said, but she knows that obviously the military is needed for your own defence. I have an aunt who I got quite offended by, to be fair. Like, we had the Remembrance Day. She doesn't really pay too much attention to it because she's like, well, soldiers know what they're getting into. But that's irrelevant. Like, soldiers are there to defend you. Like, if we didn't have a strong military, we'd all be speaking German right now. Like, so it's, yeah, I feel bad for the soldiers, but like, going into this film, the thing that I really liked about the first half of Full Metal Jacket is the fact that this war was glamorized in America in the time that it started. And even at this point in time, it hadn't really properly kicked off. It was all sort of like peacekeeping, or like being there just in case something kicked off. These were young kids that were like, yeah, we're going to go and fight in some other country. And like, guns in America have been synonymous for hundreds of years. For whatever reason, they do love their guns out there. So these kids have decided, we're going to go and fight. But the Marines obviously knew that these kids don't have a clue what they're getting into. So you had this staff sergeant who was really going to stick it in them. Like, he was going to be as hard as he possibly could. And I think this film sort of showed the levels that he had to get into them to get them into some sort of mental condition to fight in a war. Some couldn't handle it and had mental breakdown, and what happened in the film, it unfortunately happens quite a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of it happens when they go back into society. So I think that the level of detail that went into that first segment of the film was incredible. And I don't think a lot of people really realise how much work these sergeants had to put into young kids who should never have been put in that position in the first place. This is my big problem with politics, is you've got too many politicians who are out there trying to cause trouble with another country, and then the other country decides to retaliate, and then it's basically the rest of us that are having to fight their battles.
Yeah. We all have to pay the price because politicians want to make their name, or they want to achieve something, and it's our friends and neighbours and family members who pay the price. And it's
it's pretty shit.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. When the rich wage war, it's the poor who die.
Exactly. I heard that phrase somewhere before, actually. It might have been Jeremy Corbyn that said it during the Iraq War.
Yeah, it's somewhere. I know Linkin Park referenced it in one song, but I know it's from an older text from a politician who said it at some point in history. But it's so poignant and very, very relevant still. Certainly. I'll tell you something a bit more lighthearted. Interesting fact. Because my dad was obviously working in Warner Brothers when this film was being made, Format Jacket, I should say. And it was 1987, and they were living in Barking, Ilford around that time. And Stanley Kubrick shot most of the film in not too far from where they were living at that point.
Oh, cool.
It was
Shot in Bath.
I tried to go as Beckton, wasn't it?
That's it. I was about to say it was filmed. All the scenes and the exterior shots of all the explosions of where the military and all the Marines were fighting and all that, all filmed in Beckton.
No wonder it's such a shithole.
Yeah, and this used like parking lots and like with this weird basically where there was I think before they built it up, basically before they made Beckton Triangle and that, they did all the explosions there, and they actually set some real life explosions in Beckton, which everyone, if you knew what was going on, or if you didn't know what was going on, sorry, you'd think it was some sort of terrorist attack. But my dad was one of the few that realised, oh no, I know, Stanley Kubrick's making a movie. That's what's happening. And it went on for a couple of weeks. And
That's insane. So the two films both come out the same year. One was filmed in Thailand, one was filmed in Beckton.
Yep. And you wouldn't know it. I think Kubrick did some exterior shots in Vietnam, just for like on top of the helicopter and stuff. All the shots you see was done somewhere in Asia. But
it's probably Thailand, because I read something about like anything like that is. I don't know what Vietnam is specifically like currently, for tourism and working there. But Thailand, the land and the stuff about is quite similar to what you find in Vietnam. So they've just done it there, and it's easier to work with the Thai government.
Yeah, I'm sure it was cheaper.
Yeah,
But
whereas Vietnam is still under the same sort of
Communist.
Politics, yeah, let's just say
Yeah, the same sort of
so as long as you do your research and know what kind of like foliage and all the trees and all the landscape is, what that looks like, and you can match it as close as you can,
Well,
you can do it. really well.
I was that don't 100% agree because I know because you get like the little trivia points that pop up when you watch on Amazon when they were doing that like battle with the buildings and stuff. Again, that was filmed in the UK. All those palm trees looked exactly the same, and when I mean exactly the same, because they were
built in.
no, because they were. The palm tree was they're all like fake palm trees because it was fake to the point of all of them have like 6 palms, all of them have like 4 like decayed palms, and it was like, oh, it's literally the same palm tree, and it's just like, oh, I'm pretty sure you could have like got like a different design, but no, it's just like the same palm tree. It's easier that way, and because I swear to God, that is they say it's gasworks, isn't that where Battersea is, right? Where there's like that old like abandoned warehouse where they filmed lots of stuff. They filmed a lot of stuff in the UK. It's where they filmed like
they filmed The Dark Knight in Battersea before they redid it.
yeah,
The
I heard
scene
that.
where the Joker blows up the hospital, they blow up whatever it was in Battersea, and yeah, so like, Christopher Nolan obviously admires Stanley Kubrick a lot, so he likes to blow things up for real. And in the UK, somewhere, some random part of the UK gets blown up by these directors.
I mean, like,
got filmed in the Philippines. Just
okay. But it's just like because I know that because in Dagenham right now there's lots of like filming studios that are opened up soon. You know where they did like that weird Casino Royale like interactive thing that you guys went to like once or twice. I can't remember if you.
Oh, the Secret Cinema.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
There's
that was in Dagenham. Yeah.
That area is now just built up into like a bunch of like film studios. I don't know what they could film there, but like all I know is like supposedly they've seen a few of the Marvel stars around in Dagenham. I don't know how true that is, but I could just imagine walking down like you're in Romford and suddenly just passed by Scarlett Johansson. I'd be like, what's that? No, why would she be here? Yeah, that just makes sense. Yeah, it just makes sense.
We'd be like smitten.
But yeah, I feel like cinematography wise, I definitely do feel like Kubrick wins out in these two films because it is just really well done, and it's also well done in the worst way as well. I'm obviously talking about the helicopter scene where I think his name was Animal something, right? The gunner guy. I can't remember. Oh, if that's not the same gunner, I don't know. Wait, no. So, but the helicopter gunner is not the guy at the end. Sorry, I am getting that. But you know how it's just like going, and you just feel the shots just going, You're just like, right, that's just grim because shoot them. If they run away, they're VC. If they don't run away, they're well trained VC. Bang, bang. I just like, grim. Just very well shot. Grim. But not as grim as the white, I don't know if it's phosphorus or calcium when it's the graveyard. That scene was horrific, right? Just because they're just like lying there and stuff. Found out though, there's a bunch of news crews, and like one of the camera ladies, that's Stanley Kubrick's daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, because I was just because like again the things just pop out and you just like, okay, so camera lady, something Kubrick. Wait, Kubrick? Wait, what? I just had to pause the movie, just go, oh yeah, Sammy Rick's door is just the camera, just to help. They're filming like behind the scenes shots of like the movie as well, but like she's a cameo in the movie. Oh, weird. Okay, it's just like okay, I guess family business. But she did, because from what I understand, she also did like the music and sound for the movie as well. So yeah, that's pretty awesome to see. You know, it's like, oh yeah, cool.
Damn.
Yeah,
Indeed.
very effective score, and yeah, one of a very unexpected female composer of the era.
I guess if we're going by what Rachel said during what we went to eat, I guess we should do like a ladies round. I guess like a lady director.
Yeah, that was a contender for this year as well, but it was voted out. But I think we should definitely consider it next year. Definitely, I think Corey was definitely for that. Yeah, female director round, female, blah blah blah, whatever.
That's going to be very tough for me. Oh, that's a
Why?
Because he's a man.
No, not in terms of that. I haven't seen that many films from female directors. Surprisingly.
Well,
I mean, what Emmanuel does is just pick a random film.
I'm pretty sure if you'd be surprised how many films, or maybe not so surprised. So go, oh yeah, I like this film. It's very interestingly done. Oh yeah, it was a female director. Oh really? Yeah, we just do one of those things. You just don't know.
I'll have to do a fair bit of research. That won't be an easy one to pick a film from, because I'd have to research all the female directors and then all the films they've done.
Pick Barbie.
If I haven't seen them, then watch them. Sort of thing.
You just say pick Barbie.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You know what? To be fair, that would be an interesting discussion when we do it, because would that include directors that have transitioned, like the Wachowskis?
Yeah.
Technically, they're ladies.
Well, I mean, like, but does it count?
Although The Matrix has already been picked, so it'll have to be one of the latest ones.
Well,
So it would have been like startups.
I mean, like, but they did the movie before they transit. Oh, actually, no, I don't. Oh, that sounds really weird. No, actually, no.
One transition before the other.
No, because you can discuss the Wachowskis from, I've forgotten which one of their films it was, but there's one of their films that this film podcast I listened to was talking about how once you know that they're trans, you can kind of look at the film from a slightly different angle and what they were going through internally at the time when they were making it. So I think it would be even more interesting if they made the film before they transitioned, because I think then there's going to be themes in there that aren't apparent without that knowledge.
And also, like, the transition is just like outward what we can see, but they're the same person internally the whole time, right? So, like, even though we know,
that's a fair point.
yeah, they're like, they're still like, so yeah, it's
What they are now.
outward stuff to us, you know. It's like coming out as trans, but they might be like changing their appearance or whatnot, whatever, but it's to fit what was inside the whole time. So
That's
okay. Work.
Okay, that's interesting, because I realize there is actually a character in The Matrix that is trans, because in physical world they're like a dude, but when they go into Matrix world they're a woman. So I think there was an implication there. Maybe it wasn't like, maybe as a young person I didn't realize. But like, because that makes sense because of what they were going through the transition. Oh yeah, it really opens it up. But that's The Matrix. Let's reel it back in just to close that circle in again. Okay.
yeah,
So actually, because he's asleep. I don't know if we should wake him up and ask him if he wants to do favorite scenes.
Camilla, do you know what Emmanuel's favorite scene was? No.
Do the horn voice. Do the.
I don't think I'll be able to wake him up. I'll do mine.
Okay.
Okay, go.
So for Good Morning Vietnam, my favorite scene was, well, I mentioned both of them in my opening statement. It was when he's entertaining the soldiers, and he kind of realizes, oh, what I do does matter, and it's bigger than what my superior thinks about me. And also, it's really funny when you see people who like really enjoy the attention. So unrelated, well, tangentially related. At my mum's church, there's this lady who is incredibly problematic, really miserable, really stuck up, really full of herself. But if you say to her, I like your dress or I like your shoes, suddenly she's the most chatty person. And last year we were at a funeral, my friend who had died. And I think it's relevant to the story. My friend would have been 40 last year and we were at her funeral. And I was stood talking to my friend who happens to be that problematic lady's daughter. The problematic lady would not say hi to me. She literally would ignore me. And her daughter was really embarrassed that her mum wouldn't talk to me. And then we went to the church again the Sunday after the funeral, and Emmanuel didn't know who the lady was. And he just happened to like pass her and be like, I really like that dress. It's really pretty. And suddenly she wanted to talk to us. And she even told me the reason she wasn't talking to me in the first place. Anyway, that scene kind of reminds me of that, when there's people who like, oh, I'm so miserable and I'm not doing this anymore because they don't like me. And then like, oh, you remember that people love what you have to say. And suddenly, I'll be back on the radio tomorrow, kids. It's like, yeah, okay. Attention seekers, be attention seekers. And my other favorite scene from that was when he starts the fight in the bar, when they kind of come after Tuan and the rest of them, because I'm just like, you have a bit of a sense of like, you don't have, I guess we're grading on a curve for the era. We're grading on a curve, and you at least have enough respect for this person to be like, let the kid sit down in a bar and have a drink. Like, he's allowed to be here. And I have respect for that moment. In Full Metal Jacket, my favorite scenes were in the first part when Joker is helping Pyle, like helping him lace his boots and showing him how to do it correctly, or like when he's encouraging him so that he can get over the obstacle course and things like that. And it's like, I just wish someone would do this for this kid. And then that's what happened. And it's not like it's not necessarily bonding or anything else. It's just you're giving this kid what he needs, which is just someone to talk him through it and show him what he needs to do, and be patient with him and be kind with him. And I guess that's why it makes it even more painful when they're all hitting him with the towel, because the kid hates it and Joker also doesn't want to do it, but he still falls to the peer pressure and does it. But it makes it that much more hard to watch when you're hearing this guy scream, and then you see Joker cover his ears, and it really sets up you to kind of feel that much for everything else that happens to him, to both of them, I guess, to hit you more deeply. But I think they're really nice moments to watch. So I've done two favorite scenes for the first one, so one of them can be Emmanuel's as well. Since I can't wake him up. He's going to be on the couch the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Oh no! I was I should pause my mic sometimes. Sorry.
It's okay.
Go.
Okay. So let me see. And honestly, sometimes I remember in my head, oh, I should make sure to make note of like what my favorite scene is in this movie because I'll forget. And like for a long time in Full Metal Jacket, I'm like, this is hard. I don't know if I can pick like something, but what I did end up having as like I don't know if you would call it like a highlight, just like the most like um interesting, I'll say. The most interesting scene to me in Full Metal Jacket was all the interviews. You see all the interviews of the soldiers like while they're on in combat, and I just thought that kind of made me interested, and that's the kind of thing I'd be interested to see as like actual real footage, is like the soldiers being interviewed themselves. Especially as like I'm of the opinion like they're the ones that are being thrown in there. They're the ones that are doing all the suffering and the work. So I just thought that was really interesting. And it was also really interesting to see like the contrast of like their personalities and opinions of like them being there. So that was my most interesting scene in Full Metal Jacket. And funny, when I was starting my notes for favorite scenes in Good Morning Vietnam, I literally wrote down like, oh shit, how am I gonna pick my favorite one? Because he just like was flying with like joke after joke after joke. I'm like, how am I gonna pick one favorite? And I love to laugh, so like those are always my favorite scenes are the ones that make me laugh. But let me see here. For Good Morning Vietnam. Oh yeah, the first one that made me laugh the most was when he's talking about the Wizard of Oz, and he's doing all the like characters and voices, and he goes, oh Rio, oh
Yo.
yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that got me. And yeah, I think I already mentioned like when he did the like fashion guy. Call him fashion guy. We all know what he was going for, but and talking about their like the camouflage and like I can't see you like oh, and another funny joke. Oh, two more funny jokes. Okay, one was when he was being encouraged to eat that bowl of soup, and he says, "Fish balls. Didn't know they had balls." That was funny. Um. Oh, and Pope on a rope. Wash with it, and you go straight to heaven. Those are my favorite jokes by far. But as well as I wrote down as a really notable and really uplifting heartwarming scene was when he was encouraged to like Camilla, you already mentioned it. That was one of my favorite scenes, seeing him like perform for like the troops like right in person. And like I thought I was glad that like Forrest Whitaker, Garlic, he was like really encouraging him to like you're having a big impact here for like a bunch of guys that are going through a bunch of shit, and like you're doing a good job in what you're doing. So it was really nice to see them have that like moment of lightness with him. And I cried because like the music changed to something more like sentimental, and when they're all being driven off to go back in there, and yeah, so that was very impactful for me.
Oh, wait, then you first on me.
Yeah, I'll quickly say some of mine. Like, yeah, I mean, pick and choose some of your favorite Robin Williams moments. Like, even the little bits like "Good morning, Vietnam," and he goes, "It's 0600 hours. What does they all stand for? Oh my God, it's early." It's little bits like that, and yeah, the obviously every ad he did when he was on the radio, just so good. What was the other bit? Or he did. Please, what was he said about Lyndon B. Johnson? What was it? Hang on, I have it before I forget. Oh yeah, no, it was Roosevelt. I just want to begin by saying to Roosevelt, E. Roosevelt, what it is and what it shall be, what it is. The weather out here today is hot and shitty, and will continue to be hot and shitty this afternoon. Tomorrow will be a chance of continued crappy and pissy weather coming from down the north. Basically, it's hotter than a snake's ass in Wagon Rock. So yeah, those bits like that is where he just like runs his mouth. But yeah, Robin just pick and choose. They're all great. I think a poignant scene in Vietnam, mainly Vietnam, was the one they put in what was the song called? It's called. I might have to come back to that one. I'll think of a Full Metal Jacket moment first because I completely forgot what the song was. But there's a lot of moments in Full Metal Jacket that are not nice, as we've mentioned, and a lot of moments that are kind of like really kind of tough and disturbing and very like sad and melancholic. Even though it isn't a nice scene, I do feel like it's quite cathartic that you see Paul shoot the drill sergeant. I know that's a horrible thing to say, and it's like the drill sergeant was doing his job, but that moment was so intense and so like powerful. Where Joker finds him in the head bathroom, and he's just sitting there, and he has this really horrible, evil glare on his eyes. How Stanley Kubrick shot that scene with Vincent D'Onofrio just glaring into the camera, so evil and twisted and demented and so intense. It is so good, and you can just so frightened. What the hell is he going to do? And he does the worst thing and shoots the sergeant, and you think he's going to shoot Joker, but obviously he shoots himself before he does that. Just feel like his mind was so broken at that point. It was so horrible, but it's a fantastic scene. It really was, and it kind of like such a good way to end the first half of the movie, just because of how this is it. And I don't know how Joker managed to not be like, I'm not enlisting in this war now, but what it does to people. So it's horrible in that regard. I think I remember the other scene now. It's the Louis Armstrong. The scene, I mean, where they put that song in front of all the bleakness that's going on in Vietnam, and you just have this weird juxtaposition of this wonderful music, one of the best songs ever written, put on top of these atrocities you're seeing, these people suffering, and these soldiers and these villagers and these locals just like dealing with this horrible war. It's quite a poignant moment, and it's a definitive scene that was kind of like you can see Robin Williams' character Adrian just realizes that it's not going to be the same anymore. I need to leave, kind of thing. So brilliant scene that was.
Very good. So, thinking about it, because Full Metal Jacket is in the two halves, there is favorite scene from boot camp training was where I know it's like a sound but it's like where the drill sergeant essentially slaps. Oh no, he asks, "Do you believe in the Virgin Mary, Private Joker?" And he says, "Sir, no." Then he slaps him, and then he goes, "What the fuck did you say?" And it's and he goes on. And he hits him again. It's like, "Do you fucking hear? Do you believe in the Virgin Mary?" And he's like, "No, negative, sir, because I believe that any answer that I would give would just be worse for me if I changed my mind." And he stopped. He wants to hit him. You can tell that he wants to hit him again, but he can't because he knows that he's correct. And it's like, shit, you actually got me there. I can't actually change my answer. Yeah, that's a funny scene in a not funny moment, I guess. I mean, not funny situation, but it was kind of funny, right? Because it was it gives him that situation, right? So that was my favorite scene. Just because I found that funny. The second, I'll say favorite scene. I don't know. it's mainly because it was weird. Then I realized how horrific it was. It was the ending scene when they're doing the Mickey Mouse March. I think it's the name of the song. There's the I always found that odd.
Yeah, it's another great juxtaposition, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, I realized it's because it's just a juxtaposition about it that makes it worse, because they're essentially just they're going around walking, getting ready to kill, but they're doing it jovially with a children's song.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, that's gross, right? That's like, if they I mean, because like it's the Mickey Mouse March is the reason why they're walking along, but it could have been something as simple as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it would just have been, no, that's still as creepy. That's just a bunch of guys with guns walking through the marshes going Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It's a very extreme about it, and that makes it a favorite scene because of just like how much of it is. It's like, So conversely, go back to the Good Morning Vietnam. Favorite funny scene is where he has the Nixon's tape, and he fucking edits the shit out of the tape, I guess. It's like, tell me, how is your like sex life? Oh, it's all damp and it's all creepy and it's all wet. It's very hard. Goes, oh yes, that's true.
And your balls, how are they?
Your balls, how you was? Oh, they're soft. They have no strength, and it's all crap. I was like, oh. So what? Because it was snipped in so sneakily, and it was like I didn't notice it the first time we watched. I was like, oh yeah, it's just that's like he didn't even need to be there, and he was still funny. He went off to get lunch. That's how funny it was. It's like, oh damn, that's a fucking comedy gold there. But then, because of that scene, when you go realize he goes back into that room the next is after the bombing scene, then it gets really real and talks about like he rushes in there with the blood literally on him, which, admittedly speaking, when did Rambo take place? Because that scene made me think of Rambo. Because
I was 10 years before. I think it was definitely in the 70s, so 10 years before.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if like Rambo was part of the Vietnamese War. I was like, wait, that doesn't.
He came back from it as completely messed up from PTSD levels of
1982.
82. Oh, just after. Okay, yeah, fair enough then. It's still before.
So I guess mainly because this scene in Rambo where he talks about the explosion, and like I guess in my mind I got it mixed up slightly. I was like, it wasn't this? Didn't they do this already? Why? I was like, where's the kid with the explosive? I was like, oh wait, no, different movie. But it has the same sort of impact because he's literally covered with like the debris and the blood on him, and when he tries to talk like the truth, when they cut him off, and it's just so heartbreaking seeing him like he can't, even though he was there and he knows it's true, they won't let him talk about it. And what's the point of him being there? Because he was literally a DJ supposed to be there talk about these things, and it's not allowed to do the very thing that they're literally telling him. Like brought him over to from Crete, when he was in Crete, and he was like, that's what he was supposed to do, but you're not letting him do it. And it's just like so heartbreaking just seeing him just like air up when he's still in the chair, and it's like, damn, Robin Williams got some range here. So it's like, yeah. So it's just like that's like my other like favorite scenes. Not for like comedy, really, just like acting scenes, drama, cinema. Those sort of reasons for scenes. Very interesting to see like the sudden like change of like how it was in that room. Just that one room just changes a lot. Yeah.
My favourite scenes. Full Metal Jacket. I'm probably going to go with the scene in the bathroom when what's his face has his mental break completely and shoots the staff sergeant and then shoots himself, because I feel like that was a culmination of the whole arc of the beginning of the film and how much it probably had an effect on Joker going forward. In Good Morning Vietnam, I was going to say the live radio show in front of the troops, but that's been mentioned a couple of times. So I'm going to go with the first meeting with the lieutenant guy, because he doesn't like the jokes being told or the music being played. And it's basically the whole time him getting angry with Robin Williams' character, but everyone else in there is making fun of him because he's so stuck up about it. And then as he leaves the room, they make fun of him again. I thought that one was really funny. They're probably the two I'd go with.
Do you know what you just reminded me of is when that lieutenant who genuinely thinks he's actually like very comedically talented takes over and like he bombs his radio show. Everybody's just like and then but when he's finished he's like, I think you all owe me an apology. It's like
I feel like
oh my gosh.
I feel like this is what would happen if John took over a comedy show. If John ever watches this, I do apologise, but that does remind me of him.
Yeah,
I find it really funny in that scene when one of the guys is like, "So you're not really going to continue, are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I'm going to continue."
Yeah, that's the first thing somebody says after like I'm ready for my apology, and then one guy's just like, "You're not gonna keep going, right?"
But his character was properly made to be hated, right? Because like he's like, God damn it, I'm a lieutenant. You should at least like salute me once in a while. And I'm like, no, you're not. You don't ask to be saluted, right? It's not like that's not how that works. Like it's like, yeah, and it's just like he was so unlikable. But I think that's the way he was made, so I think it works especially. Yeah.
The most frustrating, unlikable character though was that friggin' sergeant. I think he was a sergeant who, like, when I figure out that he's literally trying to get Adrian killed, like that was like way beyond. I'm so glad that he got kicked out after that.
Well, it's the fact that they tried to cover up the bombing on the bar, but they wanted to get rid of Adrian so much. They were like, oh yeah, that bombing at the bar, that was set up by your mate. And I'm like, well, couldn't you have just allowed the news story to have come out and then informed him? Like, look, you can't be friends with this guy. He's a VC.
He just wanted like they were so, both the sergeant and the lieutenant were just so like had such tunnel vision for what they wanted the radio station to be like. They lost complete like perspective on like what the radio station was for the troops.
Yeah.
Just really.
And what they'd like to listen to.
Yeah. Polka.
You can't play that music. It's not on my list. It'd be like Rob running a radio channel and then I try to play Nickelback on it.
Wait, does Rob hate Nickelback that much?
Oh yeah. I mean, he used to get some amount of shit when we were younger because I liked Nickelback more than a lot of bands that I probably like more now.
Yeah, but like to be honest, if it was Rob, like we would just play it for the sake of playing it.
Oh, that's what I did, yeah.
You'll be like, here we have Hero by Nickelback. Oh, you fucking son of a...
There was times that we'd go out playing bowling and they have a jukebox there.
I can tell you.
The first thing I'd be doing is I'd pick the next 10 songs and they're all Nickelback.
So much. Oh man!
Another scene that I forgot to mention in Good Morning Vietnam is when it's after the edited Nixon tape, and they're all in with the Superior, and I can't remember any of their names, but the guy that isn't really unfunny is like, but he was making jokes about Nixon. And the Superior is like, I know him personally. He's not a good man. Just like, yeah, he knows Nixon.
That was great.
Yeah, it was a good joke.
Yeah, the general, he was all right. The general.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, should we ask Camilla what her pick is before she falls asleep too?
I never fall asleep on the couch.
I mean, I guess we should ask also if there's like any other like little like tidbits or comments you guys want to mention, or there's like Pat wanted to do like a quick closing statement about his films.
Yeah, I think we're good. But Pat, anything?
Yeah, I'm glad you all enjoyed it to a point. Obviously, I know Emmanuel gave Full Metal Jacket a 1 for enjoyment, but I actually understand it because his way of viewing enjoyment is if he's had a good time with it. Whereas like mine is like if I've really enjoyed the film for its specific purpose, I will score it high. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I'll be honest. Like when I picked it, I was like, well, I don't know how it's going to go down. I knew Rob and Ben love Full Metal Jacket, like I do. And Robin Williams is usually a safe bet with most people, but I was like, we'll see how this goes. And I was happy enough.
Yes.
So Camilla, what is your pick for next week?
Well, as you know, I'm incredibly indecisive. So after very much deliberation, I picked my film. It was down to two things. It was either we've listened to way too much men yelling and bombs, so I want something quiet. But I won't say what that film is because I'll probably pick it later this year. And then I was also like, we've seen way too many films that are really, really male-centric, and I'm bored of it. So I've decided to go for, and I thank you for talking to me earlier today when it's like, no one's going to like everything, blah, 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 because while I know obviously you can't please everybody, I still want you to enjoy the film at least a little bit. But then in the end, the film I'm going to pick is a film that I'm picking because I like it. And if you guys don't like it, then
Tough,
because you still have to talk about it and you still have to find a favorite scene to tell me whether or not you like it. So my pick this week is called In Her Shoes with Toni Collette and Cameron Diaz. It feels like it doesn't go where I think it's going. No, I don't. Do I want to put it that way? I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a lot more poignant than you think it's going to be. And I remember like crying in the cinema when we went to watch it in like year 8 or something. It's on Disney Plus, so watch it, enjoy. I have no other comments. It's late. I'm tired.
It's nothing like
Okay.
the red shoes, is it?
Sorry?
Nothing like the red shoes.
No, nothing like the Red Shoes. Although that is another one I should pick, actually. It's got one of my favorite lines in that film. Like one of my favorite lines about ballet.
Oh.
When you
Sorry,
said when you said that there was too many male centric films, I thought you were going to pick Mean Girls for a minute.
You know what? I nearly did. But I don't actually think I want to have a discussion about Mean Girls.
No, is that what you went for? I fully expecting you to choose Princess Diaries or something. Oh no, why? I was like, oh
No. See, Princess Diaries, you know how I'm very adamant on I don't watch films of books that I like.
Okay.
That's because of the Princess Diaries, because I read the first 5 or 6 books and then I saw the film, and I will never get over how different they are. I don't dislike the film, but the film and the book are two very different beasts.
Okay.
And I'm still upset about it 20 years later. So
there was a discussion if we wanted to do book adaptation films, you know, so that could have been a choice. We could have like a very deep discussion of those then. Okay.
I have a really hard time with that. It would have to be a book that I didn't know. It would have to be a film that I didn't know was an adaptation. It can't be something I know when I've read, because I'm just going to be upset.
Yeah.
No. But that's a good.
Been satisfied with the adaptation.
That's a good thing. If you're upset, you can explain why you're upset and get vent the shit out of it. That's that's a good reason to choose one of the films. Like I have a couple of the book adaptation films that I want to just shit on, mainly because I really liked the book, but it was the film just did its horrors. But that's a conversation down the line. So In Her Shoes.
Yeah.
2005. I would like to say. Yeah, 2005. Yeah, 2005.
It's 20 years old.
Oh yeah, 20th.
Wow.
Yeah. I've seen.
I was gonna.
It's been a long time now.
I very nearly was going to be because of our discussion about picking films that aren't traditional films, I was going to send you guys all the YouTube link for our wedding film, because next week is our wedding anniversary, and be like, guys, you can see yourself. But I don't want to look at that video. I actually might watch the
How many
video.
years has it been?
3.
Wow, that's kind of.
I know.
I mean, I mean, I don't know if I should say no. I'll save this conversation for another time for film picks. Emmanuel knows, but he's asleep, so we'll have this conversation another time. Don't worry.
Ooh,
I guess
I'm intrigued. Also, if you want to see pictures, you guys are on the Rudin Park website. I went on there to look at something the other day, and I thought I'd have a look at the wedding section, and it's got some of our wedding pictures on there, and you guys are all there.
Oh,
really? But wait, Rudin Park has our pictures there.
Yeah, hold on.
It's
Oh
in.
no!
I'll send the link.
Right.
I'll
Yeah, I was
need to find it again.
I probably don't have the link anymore.
But yeah, it's really funny. I was like, oh my gosh, we're there. You can see the back of someone's head. Oh, I think it's Daniel's head. Simon's got a massive smile. Right, I'm going to share it. Yeah, that's my phone.
Crazy, that was 3 years ago. Insane.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow. What you know how there's themed gifts for every wedding anniversary year? I know paper is number 1, but I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, so paper was year 1, and he made me an origami elephant, I think. Cotton was year 2, and we did a crochet class. But it's leather this year, but I've been unemployed for most of the year. So I've been employed for all but 2 days of this year. So we're not doing anything
I mean,
yet. But yeah, it's leather. If anyone knows of any interesting things that you can, I won't finish that sentence because.
oh no! Okay, no.
Leather garments.
Look, you don't. You guys are thinking too deep about it. Just get like something that's writing based, like a leather, like like you can get those little leather wraps or like bracelet things. Those are quite tasteful. Unlike
Some
what Ben was
leather
thinking about.
knife holder. Yeah.
Well, since he's oh, I was gonna say since he's asleep and he literally opened his eyes.
It's like, what the crap are you talking about?
Never mind.
I'll send you a link to the thing where I buy Viking stuff, and I'll also send you a link to the musical. I forgot. I'll send it on.
Oh, yeah, send me that link. If
Yeah,
you
I'll send it on
don't,
Discord.
if I like it and you don't pick it, I might pick it because the Odyssey is one of my favorite books. So if I can watch something about it that I enjoy, which is unlikely, then it's a film everybody else has to see as well.
Yes. See a bunch of all the tears. Okay. What's it? So it should be. So you're saying that the pictures will be actually on the Reading Park website?
Yeah, so I've just sent it in the general film club chat. It's not all of our pictures, but it's like a handful of them on the site.
And did you say you're gonna share the video or no?
I don't know. Does anyone want to see the video?
I want to see.
I mean, I still like seeing the video sometimes. It's quite nice. Yeah.
Okay, we'll share it.
Yay!
All right. Okay. Let me look for the actual thing for you guys first, so I can like share it with you in a second. All right.
Thank you.
So.
Oh my god! There's one picture. There's one picture in this that has not aged well.
I know which one you mean. And they look really happy as well.
Oh man.
Oh right. Okay. Interesting.
I know, and there's like some really lovely pictures of Dan and Coral, and it's like maybe I should email them and ask them to like swap it over.
Okay, yeah, we'll end that conversation here, and hopefully it's not.
Cool. It's bedtime. Bedtime troops.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's time to go. All right, see you next week, guys. Have a good
Bye.
See you later.
Goodbye.
All right.
Good.
Good night, Vietnam.